5 meeting of the Board of Education order. Should have warned you. Will the secretary to the board please call the roll?
Balig,
Here.
Castillo,
Here.
Frangidakis,
Here.
Lang,
Here.
Ruffalo,
Here.
Triantaflos,
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Dr. Losi, would you please lead the audience in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Sutton, I will turn the meeting over to you.
Yeah, annually, it is November 15th, National School Board Recognition Day. At the end of the day, this is a thankless job, and you guys are immensely appreciated, and you spend a lot of time on behalf of the community that a lot of times does not get fully recognized. Please join me in recognizing our wonderful board members.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session meetings of October 15th and November 2nd, 2025 as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Serge, second by Jeremiah. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Balig,
Yes.
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangidakis,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantaflos,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion approved. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the month of November 2025 as follows? Educational Fund, $1,448,977.15. Operations and Maintenance Fund, $383,424.10. Debt Fund, 0. Transportation Fund, $608,011.99. Capital Projects Fund, $207,852.56. Working Cash Fund, 0. Student Activity, $8,243.14. For a total of $2,656,508.94.
So moved.
Motion by Jeremiah,
Second.
second by Tasso. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangidakis,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantaflos,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Balig.
Yes. Motion approved. Is there a motion to approve the payroll for the month of October 2025 as follows? Education Fund, $7,224,159.59. Building Fund, $61,048.02. Transportation Fund, $17,726.01. IMRF Social Security, $117,212.04, for a total of $7,420,145.66.
So moved.
Motion by Jeremiah,
Second.
second by Tasso. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Frangidakis,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantaflos,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Balig.
Yes.
Castillo.
Yes.
Motion approved. I have not received any blue cards this evening. And so that takes us down to presentations.
Excellent. As Dr. Losi comes on up and gets settled, it is not the norm that we have 3 presentations in one night. Rest assured that they are brief in nature. Having said that, they do interconnect a bit, and they're going to lead into a topic that we are going to discuss a little bit more in depth at the December board meeting. But first and foremost, average class size and enrollment trends. Dr. Losi.
Thank you. I'll just leave it. So I just want to first highlight some of the significant decreases that we've seen over the last 11 years. So we're looking at data from 2014 up until the current enrollment. I took the October 1st data, since that's what we report to the state each year from each of these years, to develop the charts and graphs that you'll see in this particular presentation. So as you can see, since fiscal year 2014, we've had a 30% decrease in our enrollment. Our highest annual decrease was in fiscal year 2021, which I would like to also note was our year in COVID. And then we had an average of 2.5 to 3.9% decrease annually since 2021. That's remained pretty consistent over the years for us, with no signs of changing. Again, if you look at this graph, you'll see that back in 2014, our enrollment was around 4,378 students, and over the years we've trended down considerably, and currently we're sitting around 3,250. Similarly, I did comparisons by school to show you the enrollment. So if you look at the light gray, that's the enrollment in each of those buildings in 2014. The dark gray is our current enrollment at each of those schools. One highlight I would just like to say is Ardmore was a kindergarten-only center back in 2014, so that light gray is all kindergartners for the school district. Still quite a significant change in the enrollment when you look and consider that's K through 5 currently in the dark gray. Since we have had a number of questions over the past several months regarding our class sizes in the school district, I just want to highlight our school guidelines for elementary. In K to 2, our guideline is 26 students. In 3 to 5, it's 30 students. And at the middle school, it's 33 students. Once our classes go past this particular size, we'll either make the decision to split the class if we are able to. However, I want to note that sometimes positions are hard to fill, in particular with our dual language Spanish classes. Or we'll add a paraeducator in there to provide support to the teacher once we exceed those numbers. As many of you remember, we did do some attendance boundary changes in the 24 to 25 school year. If you take a look at the graph here on the left, this dark gray line shows our average class sizes in the year 2024. We had a lot of discrepancies across the district in each of our elementary schools. Once we made the boundary changes, you can see where we get a little bit more even with that average class size. It's not as significant across the district, which tells us that that boundary change was necessary and needed across the district so that we could be more consistent in our class sizes across the district. And similarly, we've continued to trend that way into this school year. Again, the dark gray is last year, the red is this year. We have a little bit of a big change just at Ardmore compared to the rest of the schools, but otherwise we've stayed really consistent in our average class sizes across the district, and that was really the true purpose of making those changes. Any questions?
Do we have any sort of indication as to, I guess, future predictions for enrollment? I know no one has a crystal ball, but I know there's people that like study this. There's a name I've heard that's mentioned that they does like enrollment projections.
They exist. At the end of the day, the trend statewide is pretty clear. Most Illinois school districts, especially in our area, especially in DuPage County, have been seeing this 1 to 3% decrease. It appears the last couple of years that it's beginning to plateau a bit more for Addison 4, but now that we're amazingly halfway through the school year approximately, we really wanted to kind of showcase that despite some of these challenges, we do see just more data that those boundary changes were necessary. And as we kind of navigate a little bit more to potentially approving a tax levy as well as reporting on some of our school designation and how we performed on some of the state assessments, you know, despite some of these challenges, like we're making positive gains, but we really wanted to show that as I engage with stakeholders as well as my administrative team, I still do not believe that the general Addison population understands how dramatically this enrollment has dropped in the last 15 or so years. And so it's kind of hard to articulate if and when this will stop, but the last couple of years, some of this decrease has minimized compared to what it was in some previous years.
So for this year's incoming kindergarten class, are we seeing any jumps in numbers? Everybody keeps talking about this COVID baby boom that supposedly is going to happen, but
I'll be honest, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was not significant. I was expecting a higher number of kindergartners across the district, and I was actually surprised that it wasn't more significant.
I will at least tell you, it doesn't capture all. I do have periodic meetings with Apple, which does a lot of our pre-K services. Some of their numbers have trended a bit upwards this year, but I mean, what they used to be 5 or so years ago compared to now are significantly less, but it does appear slightly to be going up. But to be frank with you, I don't see a lot of outcomes in the near future that we are a district of over 4,000 kids anytime soon.
thank you.
And then I was going to ask, when we have folks who are enrolled with us but then leave, do we collect like reason data, like homeschool, private, moving out of district? Like, do we know
Yes, that's entered into Skyward, so
Okay.
we'll know there's reasons that are populated in there, so they'll assign one of those reasons.
Okay, because that's, I think, interesting to see is like, do they still live here and they've selected something else, or have they moved out of district?
The majority will move out of district, but in state somewhere, so to another district.
So in one of the graphs, we show 28% decrease in student enrollment, overall numbers, in the last 10 years. And I'm looking at will that require us to do another boundary change at some point in the future if we start seeing those numbers decline over the next 5 years, 7 years?
I can honestly tell you, when we did that boundary change, I fully understood the scope and magnitude of what that change would necessitate. We really did make those to the best of our ability that I'm hopeful it'll be another 10 to 15 years before this district needs to seriously consider that again.
Well, and along with the boundary change, the possibility of a school closure is always part of that, because we were dangerously close to doing that last time.
Yes.
I mean, to be financially responsible and do the right thing, you know. Of course, I don't see that happening in the next 14 months, so I won't have to worry about it, but I'll be in the crowd helping you.
Oh, not your problem.
And Zach, you asked about hiring an outside service. We probably did that on, what was it, about 12, maybe 15 years ago, and they didn't come close to getting the projections correct.
I actually did speak with another school district who utilizes a service like that, and they didn't feel that it was necessarily worth the investment either for similar reasons.
Having said that, I mean, it was purposeful that we wanted to put this on here. It is going to connect to some of the topics that we want to discuss at future board meetings here soon. But having said that, I mean, whether you're talking about boundary changes, staff reductions, these are challenges that are anything but easy. And despite that, we have some exciting data that we're going to show you as we transition into our next presentation if you folks would be ready. Thank you, Dr. Lucy.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Ivanelli and I are here to share some information about our summative designation. Many of you know that every year at this time, every school gets a report card, and they get information about how they did over the past year. Most of the data is collected in the spring of the school year prior. School districts use this to help understand how we can be more proficient or do things to change the way we inform our instruction or the curriculum that we use. So we're here tonight to share with you how we did. One thing to note, Illinois decided to change the proficiency benchmarks. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then Dr. Ivanelli is going to talk about the indicators. I'll share how we did at each school. She'll share some national and state trends, and then we'll both talk about celebrations and opportunities. Okay, so thinking about new state proficiency benchmarks, what does that mean? So in Illinois, a policy rule that measures how well a student does compared to a set goal for what they should be able to do is determined by the state. So the state of Illinois says what proficiency means. At grade level, though, we use that a lot when we think about our NWA MAP tests. That's comparing our students compared to where they should be at the end of the year on grade level, and it compares us against kids across the country. So Illinois made the change to their proficiency benchmarks in both ELA and math because they were misaligned with actual college and career readiness. Many cases, high school students who were succeeding in courses and attending college were still labeled not proficient using our IAR cut scores. For science, though, it was the opposite. So the Illinois Science Assessment, the benchmark was too low, making proficiency easier to achieve than the actual grade level expectations. In addition to this, there were 5 categories for IAR, 5 buckets that you could go in as a student based on your score. But for SAT, there were 4, and for ISA, there were 4. And they all had different language, different terms, whether it was proficient, almost proficient, none of it aligned. And so the realignment that they did was intended to give educators, families, and students more accurate data, more consistent data, so they could plan. So what does it mean? So we went from 5 to 4 categories, which for us is a good thing because it aligns to our SLP. We have 4 categories in our SLP, and they're very similar. So now we'll be talking more similar language when we talk about how students are doing here in Addison against our benchmarks, and then how they're doing in the state as well. So as they changed the proficiency level, they just did it for just that one cut score. Whether or not a student was proficient is what changed. So it's important to keep in mind that the test was the same, and if a student's proficiency level or their category changed, it didn't, and it went up or down, it doesn't necessarily mean that their learning changed or how they did on learning.
Okay, so next are the accountability indicators and all of the wonderful numbers that go alongside this. ISBE did not change how much things were weighted in terms of the final score. So 75% is still academic, with our growth taking up 50%, our proficiency taking up a chunk, and then science and EL progress. The other side, the other 25%, again, chronic absenteeism and the climate survey participation did not change. So when we look at our data, I'm going to compare 24 to 25, but only in certain instances, because you can't across all the data, which we sort of discussed last year. Because of the proficiency changes, we can't really look at one to the other. What we can look at is enrollment. So if we look at school year 24 versus school year 25, we're similar, again, down about 100, 150 at the time that this data was collected. If we start to look at our subcategories, here's where it changes a little bit, and there's a few reasons for that. So again, at the very, very bottom, which is hard to see on this screen because it's a little small, but this is the state, and these are all of our schools individually. So what has been consistent is we have a higher number of EL than the state, always, in both years, and it's significantly higher. If you look, EL is yellow, so again, the state is 16% and 18%, and we've got buildings in the 70s and 80s. With the boundary changes, what you will see is there's a little bit of a data shift and a percentage shift in the IEP section and the EL section, depending upon schools that moved, in addition to our data cleanup process that we did when moving to Skyward. So that's where you'll see the biggest shift between year and year. But in regards to the state, we always have higher percentages in those areas. So looking at the demographics again, you can see if you look at 24 EL, the district's at 55%, well above the state. It always is. It's the same thing for 2025. We're still at about 55.5% to the state's 17. When we look at low income, we are also surpassing the state in that area as well. The district being at 69, 70%, 71% to 50-ish for the state. What I do like about the IEP graph is it'll show you 4 years. Our district, again, is the light green, and the state's the dark. We stay fairly consistent in that area, and so does the state. Now, keep in mind, I can't show you like I did last year, 23, 24, and 25, because we can't compare these. What we can look at is proficient versus non-proficient of the district versus the state. What I will say is this: there is a very convoluted way to compare last year's scores to this year's scores, because our students that are proficient, the meets and exceeds categories, those are the same as where they were when we have the 5-tiered scale. It's the other section that was not, that changed. It was some very vague language of, what was the original one? It was like, does not, partially, and approaching. So that partially is what got dropped, because it really, that indicator is not a great descriptor of anything. So if we're looking at ELA, proficiency, again, remember, is our students against a set of standards and a grade level, whereas growth is individualized. So the proficiency, we are below the state in terms of those that are proficient, and obviously mathematically above for not proficient. Growth, we are not that far off. State's at 50, we're at 47.2. So if we look at math, similar. Math is just in general, usually has more in the not proficient category than proficient. So we're a little bit off the state, but when you look at growth, we're very, very close to what is common for the state of Illinois. Keeping in mind again that these are where the data changed and why we can't compare it to 2024. Bar was up here in terms of what they were requiring for the state of Illinois only, of course, which is why some of that had to adjust. There is no growth in ISA. ISA measures two things, the proficiency and their participation. So participation, we're above the state by a percentage and a half point. So almost all of our students have participated in ISA, 5th and 8th grade. Those are the grade levels that take this. And proficiency, again, we're a little bit behind where the state is for proficiency, but this was also a very large change in the markers of where a student lands for ISA. Chronic absenteeism is something we have been working on a lot. This is students who miss more than 10% of school days in a school year, whether it's excused or unexcused, okay? So obviously 21, 22 is the after effects of COVID, so it's hard to look at that. But if we look at 23, 24, and 25, we're creeping, but we're also significantly still below the state. So we do have our family liaisons in our buildings that are working on different types of attendance features to make sure kids are coming to school and are participating in all of the academics that occur here. Which leads to our summative designations.
So the designations are similar to our grade, our report card. This year, we had one school that moved to targeted. We had one school that moved from exemplary to commendable. And then we had one school that went from targeted to commendable. So we would like to acknowledge Fullerton because they worked hard last year and continue to work hard to move out of targeted and into commendable. You may remember over the course of the last 5 years, at one point Indian Trail, Ardmore, and Lincoln were in targeted status, but have all moved to commendable. We've already started talking with Army Trail. We know what plans we need to make, and we'll be sure to put a plan in place so that they too will move back to commendable.
So ironically enough, the national and state trends have not changed much. National trends, the achievement gaps aren't shrinking, and recovery is still way far off. If we're looking at the entire nation, it would take the average kiddo 4.8 months of schooling to catch up in reading, an additional 4.8 months, an additional 4.3 to catch up in math. If we look at just the state of Illinois alone, we're at about 4.7 months for reading, a little bit below, and 3.3 for math, which is significantly below. However, what I want you to keep in the back of your mind is 3rd to 8th grade. 8th grade, they're at about 9, so that's an average of every grade level. 8th graders are at about 9.3 months of additional schooling to catch up to pre-pandemic levels in mathematics, and 9.0 to catch up in ELA. So there are still significant gaps that across the nation, across the state, we are addressing.
So I'd like to highlight some celebrations, and I already talked a little bit how Fullerton moved from targeted to commendable. Specifically last year, Fullerton was considered a targeted school because they were 0.75 points away for their children with disabilities subgroup to what was the cut score. That subgroup this year grew 20 points. So that was phenomenal for them. Chronic absenteeism was reduced in 5 of the 8 schools. So the work that we're doing in interventions we're putting in place with the help of the family liaisons, we feel it's working. And chronic truancy is considerably less than state levels. What's the difference between chronic absenteeism and chronic truancy? Dr. Ivanelli?
Very good question, Dr. Purse. So chronic absenteeism, as I said before, combines both excused and unexcused absences. Chronic truancy is only unexcused. So our truancy levels don't play into the summative designation, but they are on our forward-facing Illinois State Report Card. Truancy is a part of chronic absenteeism, and that's what our summative designation is based off of. Areas of opportunity, again, based on the data and all of the new benchmarks, We still want to continue to make consistent growth for both literacy and mathematics, because across the subgroups it is not consistent, so we're going to work in that area. We do have to increase our achievement in science, and that is, again, statewide. Everybody in science saw some definite dips in the scores because of the change. Our two subgroups that we really, really want to zoom in on are increased growth for our English learners as well as students with disabilities. And then this one will never go away. We always have to focus on chronic absenteeism. All this data means naught if the kids aren't actually in school.
What questions do you have?
I have a question. So as far as the chronic absenteeism, I have to wonder sometimes, do some of the parents even know that their child is absent as much as they are? I know something that they've been doing at the high school is we'll get like periodic emails from their student information system. Your student was, missed this class, whatever. Is that something you guys have explored with your student information system to somehow notify families like, hey, your child has missed this much school time?
Yeah, so one of the things Abdul, our data system specialist, has worked on now is the 369 letters for absences are automatically triggered by whatever is entered in Skyward. So those are going directly to all the contacts that are listed in Skyward, which has been helpful because sometimes those get backlogged and don't get sent out exactly when the attendances are happening, and these are in real time. So parents are getting notifications when they're hitting those. It's the unexcused that they're also part of that 369, but that's a little bit harder to explain.
Mm-hmm. And the other question I had is on the slide here, I noticed that the annual summative designations, what is the significance of the white boxes around those schools?
That moved.
Changed. Okay.
And I missed the comment on what's the plan of getting Stone back into their exemplary designation?
Stone is an interesting case because both the state level for exemplary and the state level for commendable have also lowered. So last year, the state level for exemplary was 84.19, and Stone had an 86, which is what got them into exemplary. And then this year, it's 81.99, and Stone is at a 74. So it's hard to hold that exemplary level because growth can only go so much. When you grow a lot in 1 year, it's hard to grow a lot again. So we looked at their areas of focus, and again, what's nice about that building is all of their subgroups are very similar in their data in terms of how far away they are from the main mark. So there isn't a targeted subgroup that we have to look at. We have to look overall. They had a little bit of slips in science. They had a little bit of slips in growth, which was to be expected. Their proficiency is spot on the 7.5% mark. So at this point in time, it is, again, just trying to really focus on individual growth for students that might fall below the mark. But it has to be targeted to students, not to subgroups.
So they were 86, now they're at 74, you said?
Yep.
And the bar was lowered from,
84 to 81.99.
but they still missed it.
But they didn't have as much growth as they had the year before. They had
Right.
significant growth the year before.
And how long should schools be expected to stay in each one of their summative designation?
That's hard to say. It's not consistent. What I'll say is targeted, you want to be there, obviously, the shortest amount of time possible. If you do it right, like Fullerton did with their subgroup, and you really hone in on the data and what the subgroup is that needs support, you can get out of that within a year very easily, and then you have the following year of continued support as well
Yeah,
through
2
grant
years,
money,
yeah.
so you can continue to push that subgroup and others. Commendable is usually where people live for most of the time, because exemplary is like that. Think of an evaluation for teachers. It's like that distinguished. You come in and out of that depending upon what is happening that year, what the growth is that year, what it was the year before. Very rarely do schools stay in exemplary for more than 2 or 3 years at a time, because you hit a growth almost cap,
Bubble.
for lack of a better
Yeah.
word. You hit a cap, and then it has to go backwards to go forwards again.
Do any one of these categories get more access to grant money?
Yes, yes. So, when a school becomes targeted, they get additional funds. The first year, for example, I'll speak to Fullerton. Last year, they got an additional pot of money to plan. And what that meant is they pulled together a specialized leadership team. So they expanded their instructional and CCV teams to add more people. They did a needs assessment, met frequently. We already have pretty decent school improvement plans here in Addison, but they looked further and they made it more robust. Like, it was acceptable to what the state wanted, but we more. And then they met a little bit more often. So now they're in year 2, and they're working with a consultant, and they're honing in on differentiation, specifically for students with disabilities, because that was their subgroup. And they'll get that money this year and next year. So in addition to money for professional development, also written into the grant, we have money for supplies, for parent engagement, and classroom materials.
One thing we have to keep in mind too is our schools, at least in the experience that I've had, that are hitting targeted in this district, they're hitting targeted because usually typically of one subgroup,
1 or 2.
right? A lot of school districts, it's more than one, which takes longer than a year to get out of. So this, because it's only one, we really can focus those resources on that one group and pull it out of targeted pretty quickly if everyone's on board and we're following what our plan is.
All right, thank you.
You mentioned the subgroup for Fullerton that put them in targeted.
Mhm.
Do you have any information on Army Trail?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the 2 subgroups that put them in targeted was children with disabilities and white.
What was the second one?
White students.
And CWD was that a new subgroup for them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was the other thing. It's a new
Army Trail
subgroup.
didn't. You have to have 20 students in 3rd through 5th grade. That's where they take the state test. You have to have 20 students of that subgroup to create it. And last year, Army Trail did not have the children with disabilities subgroup. They didn't have 20. This year they do. And then their white subgroup, they had both years, but that group didn't meet or perform as well as the other groups.
And in an instance where a new subgroup is, where there's a new subgroup, you have a 50% chance that that subgroup gets really close to targeted because it wasn't one before, so it wasn't anything you were putting measures
A
in
spotlight
place for.
on,
Like
yeah.
you weren't looking at it before because it didn't exist. So most times it is because it's a new subgroup that will get it in that targeted category.
I know, I know it's not part of the discussion, but we're tier 2, and with the makeup of our students compared to the state, is there a possibility we'll fall into tier 1 in this next year, as far as for extra funding?
I don't think so. And we're EBF. We're watching that, like with IASBO, because they're wanting to change the whole method again. So, I mean, I can see, but I don't think that we would ever be tier 1 yet.
And to
We'd
be
have
frank
to
with
be
you,
more
it's-
higher
Yeah.
population, I
Well, I'm
think.
just looking at the numbers there, the students, the makeup compared to other
Yeah.
districts and to the state.
Right. I know.
And not to get too off topic, like, they really are advising us that even some of the mandated categoricals, like bus reimbursement, special ed cost reimbursement, even if they keep the EBF funding at the same rate, they're beginning to advise
Yeah.
groups that Melissa and I are a part of that don't expect all these mandated categoricals to be, it's going to be prorated, is what they're starting to advise us again. They usually reimburse us at about 80%. They're starting to say it could be 70%
Yeah.
or less over the next couple of fiscal years. So I more likely than not anticipate less funding coming.
Yeah, transportation went down like 20% this year.
Okay, sorry to get us off topic.
Just the one note I'll say, and it's not you, it's the change so that we don't have the growth data so frustrating, because obviously we want to be above the state, but it's also like, it's hard to make such quick change, and you want to see that we're at least moving in the right direction. So it'll be good next year when we can have that data again.
What we didn't tell you is that we've spent multiple team meetings with our administrators looking through all the data and all the subgroups and looking at growth and who are the students. And we've noticed like our low-income students, they make a lot of growth. So
Yeah.
there are subgroups that are making growth or that are performing. So we have some things to celebrate, and we have some things that we need to shine a spotlight on and make some changes.
And all
Okay.
those details in the data can sort of forecast which are the groups that are close to that threshold of kicking and building into targeted. So we're able to look at that now and say, all right, so here's the things we need to do before the scores are collected for next year.
Quick question. How many family liaisons, if you guys know, did we have last year versus this year?
7 to 4?
We had 7 last year and 4 this year.
Okay. Do we know if there's any tie to the chronic increase in Army Trail from 16 to 23, and if there's a plan to bring some of those people back if this continues?
So the chronic absenteeism, what I will say is outside of 2 schools, all of the rest of them have actually gone down in their chronic absenteeism as a total. And again, which remains, the state is at 26%, and there's only, or 25%. And there's only 1 building that's over that, and 2 buildings that are close-ish. But of our 9 schools, only 2 have increased in chronic absenteeism, which last year, there were 7 buildings that increased. So with that data, I'm not so sure that that would be necessary.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As we now transition into Mrs. Morghese's tax levy presentation, essentially I'm hoping that you guys do kind of see the connections and the purposes tonight. Despite some of the financial implications and the declining enrollment and all the challenges that are associated with that, we are quite proud of the progress and the growth we've made. Having said that, this is an annual item now where potentially the board needs to take action on what our tax levy request is. Mrs. Morghese.
Thank you. So our final tax levy that you guys will be voting on today, the calendar was we did our tentative levy in October. You guys will adopt it today. I will bring it to the county by the end of December. The county clerk determines the extension in April, and then the taxpayers will receive their tax bills in May, and then we get our first installment in June, and then our second installment the following year in August. So we are tax capped, so our formula is our prior year levy times the lesser of CPI or 5% plus new property, which would equal our new levy. And then the tax cap formula continued, so our new levy divided by the equalized assessed value is our property tax rate. I will let you guys know that for 2025, our property tax rate is going down, just so you guys know. And the variables we knew our prior year extension in the baseline. We know what CPI was for last year. And then I had called the assessor, and they gave me estimates of what the equalized assessed value was going to be. That was at 6.5%. And then the new property, they said, would be around $6 million, but they didn't have total numbers. So we are putting it in there as that and going from there. So this is our levy request for 2025. So last year we had 36.3 million, and this year it's about 38.1 million. So it's a total of $1.8 million difference. I did change some things. I changed the IMRF and the Social Security Fund because we had the reduction in force in a lot of ESPs, and we have a lot of fund balance in both of those funds, and we don't want to keep on carrying a high fund balance there because we can't transfer out. So I just changed that a little from last time, and then I also put a little bit more into special ed funding because our special ed funding is going up every year. So our total extension for special ed is $3.1 million, and we're only levying $482,000. And then these are our cash balances that are unaudited for our fund balances as of June 30th. It's a total of $37.9 million. And they will keep on, it's going down every year, but if we levy correctly this year, we'll be fine. So that's all. I mean, it's kind of the same as last month, but do you guys have any questions?
Do we have any sort of indication on CPI?
For this year?
Yeah.
I haven't even looked. They were talking about like 4% the last time I looked in October, but it'll be out in like 3 weeks. It should be, the remainder should be out, but I don't know yet. It
Thank you.
changes every month, so.
Very good. Thank you,
Anything
Mrs. Morghese.
Thank you.
Potentially approving that tax levy will be an action item later in the evening. President Bollig, I believe we are down to committee reports.
Yep, thank you. We will start with Mr. Mr. Frangidakis, who will report on the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting of October 27th.
So attended the CSC meeting, had a good discussion, talked about some of the initiatives that each of the members would like the district to focus on. I think there's been some common themes that have been recurring. One thing that came up was that we've improved, obviously, the volume of communication that comes from the school being, instead of being separate different platforms and stuff like that, from, now it's more unified. So that was a improvement that I think was appreciated. One of the things that was brought up was, again, the grading scale comes up. It's come up almost every year. Trying to think what else. Jeremiah, what are some of the other big takeaways? That there was really nothing that was new that hasn't been brought up before. Nick, was there anything was any new takeaways?
There honestly wasn't. It's a valuable committee, and it is something I do really enjoy. At the end of the day, we did get positive feedback about some of the communication changes that we've made, as well as recognizing some of our really distinct efforts to increase student achievement and to have a focus upon that. And frankly, the grading scale continues to be a topic that comes up, and I acknowledge that.
That's all I have.
Any other questions?
How's the one person per school thing working out?
I frankly prefer it. I like it. I feel like I'm already being able to get to know these individuals on a lot more of a personal basis. I'm starting to organize and schedule some individual meetings even outside of the CAC meeting now that is a manageable number. And the thing that I like about it is I do think it has a lot of potential that these folks even are able to get to know each other now. And in theory, we will have the same individuals come back for our next meeting in a couple of weeks. I do think there's pathways now for more substantial, genuine dialogue with the new setup that we've embraced.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Castillo is now up for intergovernmental meeting from November 5th.
Thank you, President Bollig. There's a lot going on within the village. More and more public entities are showing up to these meetings, which is great. So I'm going to recap just some of the things. I would encourage everybody here to check out your local units of governments and just see what's going on. The fire department updated us on their fire equipment, on how well their recent disaster training went. The library, I know it's almost the end of the month, but they are pushing a small business Saturday. It's a great initiative. It involves the local businesses. I would encourage people to take a look at that. They're also looking to update the technology portion at the library, as well as going to be doing something with pads and their street outreach program. District 88 had similar results as we did. They were very happy with their report cards. They're also looking and working with business partners and partnerships. They highlighted upcoming events. They're also looking to do something with the bonds and some improvements over there. So if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to look into District 88. The village, it already happened, but they had a veterans event. It went well. The mayor gave a update on what's going on with the unincorporated area over by 53, over by the high school. They gave an update on the success of Oktoberfest, and they also want everybody to know that they will be doing holiday events for Christmas, including the parade where they go around town, 2 separate dates, as well as a tree lighting ceremony. One thing that's coming up for the township is they are having a turkey distribution. They're also holding their first blood drive in December. They're looking for applicants for the mental health board, and it looks like in a couple of days they're going to be having a recycle event. And the park district updated us on what's going on with them at their parks. They're especially a community centennial, and they're also looking for residents to look up their Polar Express and their letters to Santa. So I went through that very, very fast. So Dr. Sutton, Serge, if I missed anything.
What was the headline from the mayor on the unincorporated area?
So it was very long, but basically the village is looking for somewhere along the lines of 100% participation for the village to consider it. It's not incorporated right now, so it's kind of like a plan. I know it's a hot topic item, but that's what he told us at the meeting.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Buildings and Grounds.
My turn. Awesome. Thank you. Basically, on Wednesday, November 12th, B&G committee met to discuss a few things. Top of the list was our 2026 summer construction project at Wesley School. Right now, the bids are due December 17th. Right now, estimates are we're estimating the project's going to be somewhere around 3.9 million. Estimates are a little lower than that right now. We're hopeful that they're a lot lower. TBD on that. Since we have some buildings that do need to have quite a few things taken care of in the next couple of years, there are some construction funding sources that we're looking into as far as alternate funding sources, so we can try to get some of these projects online sooner than later. So stay tuned for that. That should be exciting for our community. Moving on to Old Mill School, still for sale, still selling it. We should hear a little bit more in the next few weeks, and at the next meeting, we'll bring back that information. And then finally, some discussion items we had with our maintenance department. Still looking at bi-directional amplifiers, which basically is needed here at this campus because we found out that the police and fire radios aren't, properly functioning down in our basement areas. So we know we have to have that resolved and fixed, and I think there's a good plan in place. Some other things we're looking at are potentially adding bollards at Fullerton School. And speaking of Fullerton, since the water main debacle a couple months ago, we did have the bandage to fix it. So water is back up and running and not in our building except for out of the fountains in the restrooms, not on the floors and through the hallways. But we do know we have to resolve. We have a problem over there as far as there's an alternate plan to bring a new water main into Fullerton School. So within the next few months, probably that'll be resolved, but we are going to address it. We can't have what happened a few weeks ago in that neighborhood in our school happen again. So other than that, I think I hit everything. Did I properly address everything, B&G committee? I could keep going, but I won't. Thank you.
Could I ask a question about the police radios? Is the village dispatch, are they going to pitch in to help? Like, who's going to front the cost for their radios not working in our school?
That would be the taxpayers of Addison, especially our taxpayers. So I think it's more not just their radios. I think it's our radios too, which poses a huge problem.
And our cell phones don't work downstairs. They say SOS.
Yes. So it's a great point, but unfortunately, I mean, you can ask them if they'll help us pay for it. But I think the last cost we're somewhere around $46,000 to $50,000. So it was a tough swallow.
That's
but
just for the radios, though.
Right.
That's, the cell phones we're waiting on a quote for.
Thank you.
All right, down to administrative reports. Dr. Sutton.
All right. Thank you for everybody that made the choice to be here tonight. It's wonderful to have this type of crowd for some of the things that we get to talk about briefly. The annual process of school districts and individual schools being informed of their state's assessment, performance, and designations all took place at the school level this recently. I'm exceedingly proud of the growth and outcomes our staff and students continue to make. On October 30th, there was a significant community incident that involved local law enforcement blocking off a large portion of our community, which then dramatically impacted all of our school dismissal procedures district-wide. I really want to do a genuine recognition and thank you to all the staff and families that allowed this intense situation to be navigated as smoothly as possible. While it became clear it was going to be unsafe to have students walk home during this particular evening and afternoon, we still had all of our students at home and or picked up at each school by about 4:30 p.m. This was an outcome and a feat that I wouldn't anticipate unless I lived through this. This really made this experience as successful as it could be, and so a sincere thank you to everyone that made this afternoon as successful as it was. Lastly, it is my pleasure to recognize our November Addison 4 Difference Makers. I want to recognize 3 individuals. These would include Tom Willis, Dan Medina, and Christian Picasso, in no particular order. I think I see Christian Picasso back there. Would you do a little wave? All right. You were nominated by Christine Warren. She stated the following: Christian is truly an ASD4 difference maker here at Army Trail. Not only does he do an amazing job with the day-to-day responsibilities of keeping our school running smoothly, he also goes above and beyond to make a difference in the lives of our students in every single day. He has built incredible relationships with our students, especially some of the more challenging friends. He's personable, kind, and so easy for the kids to connect with. Students actually fight over who gets to help him when he needs an extra hand, and they love inviting him to join them for extra recess time. He's even been known to jump in on the fun, like when he won the mummy wrapping contest with the 4th graders during our Halloween celebration. When a serious incident occurred in the community and dismissal procedures were changed, Christian stayed in the cafeteria on his own, comforting students and helping them feel safe and cared for. Moments like this show his deep compassion and dedication to Army Trail. When he joined our team, he had big shoes to fill, following someone who had been there for many years. But he has not only filled those shoes, he's far exceeded every expectation. He's always willing to help, quick to respond, and brings a positive can-do attitude to everything he does. We're so lucky to have him. He truly is a difference maker. Please join me in a round of applause. Next up, we have Tom Willis, who is nominated by Marie Towns. She stated the following: I am very happy to nominate Mr. Tom Willis for the November Difference Maker. More than a decade, he has been a steadfast supporter of our schools and an advocate for our Addison community. As the current president of the Kiwanis Club, Tom leads by example, always looking for ways to make a positive impact. When I approached him about the possibility of Kiwanis sponsoring our micro pantries at Army Trail, Lake Park, and Lincoln, his immediate response was, how can I help? Under Tom's leadership, that Kiwanis Club continues to bring joy to our students through their weekly snack packs, which is a fun way to provide a little extra care throughout the school week. Tom's consistent support and community-centered mindset continue to enrich our schools and strengthen the connection that make our school district thrive. Please join me in recognizing and giving him a round of applause. Last but not least, Dan Medina. He was nominated by myself, and I felt compelled to actually share the following. When I first came to the district, now 3.5, 4 years ago, there was not an equal PTA presence at all across the school sites. And Mr. Medina has consistently recognized this was far from ideal. Under his leadership, we now have established independent PTAs at each of our schools. This progress has been instrumental in advancing our ongoing goal of fostering stronger parent partnerships. In addition, he leads the ACPTA, which provides unified direction and vision for all school PTAs. Through this and his many other commitments, he dedicates countless hours to our district and community, efforts from which we all benefit. Please join me in giving him a round of applause. Could you 3 gentlemen please kind of come up here by Miss Towns and indulge us for a quick photo, please? Outside of that, friends, we had 2 FOIA requests that were responded to and are included in your board packet, and that would conclude my report.
Thank you so much. We are down to items for board action.
Absolutely. First up, we have approval of personnel. Dr. Losi.
Thank you. As you can see, I provided the personnel report for you in your packet. I do respectfully request that the board approve the personnel report as follows. In the area of licensed staff employment, Caitlin Hall. Licensed staff resignation, Lorena Garcia. Licensed staff retirement, Joanne Palzinski. ESP staff employment, Maria Cortez. Myra Saucedo, Carmen Torrado. ESP staff rehire, Jennifer Perez. ESP staff resignation, Imelda Guerrero. ESP staff dismissal, Rosalinda Perez. Leave of absence licensed staff, Donna Infantino, Alexandra Lamelli. Leave of absence ESP staff, Aisha Chaudhry, Nicole Kazanecki.
Is there a motion to approve the personnel report as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tasso, second by Surge. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantafilus,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bollig,
Yes.
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangidakis.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next up, we have approval of the CAC 2526 recommendation. We lost one individual. It's board policy to approve everyone, so we need to potentially approve this individual. Attached with your board packet is a list of interested people to fill the need and void at Ardmore. Based upon that, I respectfully recommend that the board approves Rashonda Randolph as a Citizen Advisory Committee member for the 25-26 school year.
Is there a motion to approve the updated 25-26 Citizens Advisory Committee members as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Tasso,
Second.
second by Zach. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantafilus,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bollig,
Yes.
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangidakis,
Yes.
Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next, we have the approval of the final 2025 tax levy. Mrs. Morgazy.
Okay. In preparation for the estimated levy, we utilized historical trends to estimate the EAV growth and new construction figures. Additionally, we contacted Addison Township, and like I told you, I got estimated values from them. So the assumption is 6.5% increase in EAV and $6 million in new construction for the tax levy. So those numbers changed a little bit for the tax levy that we had in October. So therefore, I respectfully request that the Board of Education approve the resolution regarding the estimated amounts necessary to be levied for the 2025 tax levy as presented today.
Is there a motion to approve the final tax levy as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Jeremiah,
Second.
second by Zach. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Triantafilus,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Bollig,
Yes.
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangidakis,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next up, we have a potential approval of a donation over $2,500 in value. Dr. Ivanelli.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Tasso, Triantafilus, has generally offered to provide the district with an API data feed connection integrated with our existing FortiGate config at no cost to the district. This integration essentially will help our cybersecurity policies and standard operating procedures, significantly strengthening the district's cybersecurity posture and enabling a more proactive approach to threat prevention. The value of this contribution is estimated at $57,000 annually. I respectfully recommend that the board approves the approval of district donation.
Is there a motion to approve the donation over $2,500 in value as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Surge, second by Jeremiah. Questions or discussion?
Just make sure you thank him on behalf of the board.
Okay, roll call, please.
Williams,
Yes.
Bollig,
Yes.
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangidakis,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantafilus.
Abstain.
Motion approved.
And our last action item, approval of the annual maintenance grant. Mrs. Morgazy.
The Illinois State Board of Education announced that the return of the school maintenance grant. The grant provides a matching fund, dollar for dollar, up to $50,000 for qualified projects. The district may submit an application for multiple projects, but the award is limited to one project per district award. The final allocation for the program has yet to be determined, but we will ensure the maximum potential funding for submitting the application, and we will have it pay off the costs of resurfacing the Army Trail gym, so that it doesn't come out of our fund balance completely. So we respectfully recommend that the board grant the administration authority to submit the application for funding under the 2026 SMPG program as outlined above.
Is there a motion to approve the request for the administration to have authority to submit applications for funding under the 2026 SMPG program as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Serge,
Second.
second by Tasso. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Bollig,
Yes?
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangedakis,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantafilo,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion approved. And we are down to discussion items.
Amazingly, the halfway point for the school year is upon us. Next up, we have our December board meeting, December 17th. Just a friendly reminder, not only for the general community, but our board members. December board meeting starts at 5 p.m. Next up, we have our first reading of press policy. Dr. Losi.
Thank you. As you can see in your board packet, I have provided you the latest Press Plus update, issue number 120. The policy committee is currently reviewing it. I would like to take possible action at December for adoption. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to let me know.
I did not have any communication to and from the board, and I believe we are down to public comment.
Yep, we have received 2 blue cards this evening. As a reminder, the District 4 Board of Education provides an opportunity on the board agenda at each open meeting for comments from the public in accordance with Board Policy 2230. In order to protect the rights of students, staff, or other individuals, any item of a sensitive nature should not be presented in public, but should be communicated in writing to a district complaint manager. Board Policy 2230 states that members of the public shall be permitted to make comments to the board at each open meeting, ordinarily subject to the following time limitations: 30 minutes overall, 15 minutes per topic, and 3 minutes per speaker. Generally, the Board of Education does not engage in dialogue during public comment. Our first comment is from Rose Madison in the room. Rose, did you want to come up and speak, or I can read it for you, whatever you prefer? Read it. Okay. So Rose had said, is there any way we can get bus service to Fullerton if the student lives 1 mile away, especially since the weather is turning colder? We've noted that comment. And then our second comment is from Sal Mohammed, maybe? Did you want to come up and speak? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving the opportunity to ask this question. So my question is regarding the old middle school disposition that I believe it's for sale, and we are trying to get some information from the seller's agent, but there's one gray area wherein we are not getting the exact information. So I would request the board to just let us know, like, we are one of the interested parties. We want to start a K-12 school over there if everything goes well with us. But the question is, like, when we submit our bid, do we have to show our vision on the paper? Like, what do you want to do with the building in future? And that's unfortunately, we are not getting any answers. Even ChatGPT couldn't find the answers for it when we tried to use it. So that's my question.
Okay. We've noted the comment. Again, we won't engage here, but we've got that.
Thank you
from
again.
Thank you. All right. Is there any miscellaneous or unfinished business to bring before the board this evening? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn the Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 Board of Education meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Serge, second by Tasso. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Bollig,
Yes?
Castillo,
Yes.
Frangedakis,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
Ruffalo,
Yes.
Triantafilo,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion approved. Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Now that the meeting is done, I just wanted to wish Dr. Jimenez a good evening and to join me, board, in saying welcome to the first board meeting that we have had now that she is officially part of